your 5-year-old knocks over their milk. Again. You're already reaching for the paper towels before the puddle even spreads. And in those 3 seconds, the 3 seconds it takes you to grab the towels, wipe it clean, and say, "It's okay. Accidents happen." You just taught your child something you never intended to teach. You taught them that messes are your responsibility, not theirs. This instinct to help, this automatic rescue reflex, is preventing your child from learning true responsibility. But there's a Japanese parenting technique that changes everything. It takes just 5 seconds, and it has nothing to do with what you say to your child. Picture this. Your 5-year-old reaches for their water. It tips, spills across the table. Before the water stops spreading, you're up, grabbing towels, cleaning. "It's okay, honey." 3 seconds. Problem solved. But here's what just registered in your child's brain. When something goes wrong, rescue arrives automatically. They learn to wait instead of act, or homework time. They stare at a math problem, stuck. You lean in immediately, explaining, showing, solving. You just solved your problem. The problem of watching them struggle, not theirs. This is teaching helplessness. And before you feel defensive, this doesn't mean you're failing. This means you care. This means your protective instincts are strong. But your brain doesn't distinguish between danger and discomfort. And that split-second rescue instinct? It's costing your child something crucial. Fast forward 10 years. Your teenager can't start homework without you sitting next to them, can't pack for a trip without your checklist, calls you from college because their roommate confrontation isn't fair and they need you to text the RA. They're 19 and they still need you to function. That's not because they're incapable. It's because they never learned they were capable. And it started with spilled juice. Here are the 3 patterns that create this dependence. First, you move before they do. Every time you rush in before they've even attempted a solution, you're sending a message. You can't do this without me. Over time, that message becomes their inner voice. Second, you read struggle as crisis. That scrunched face, that frustrated grunt. Your nervous system interprets it as distress. But struggle isn't danger, it's development. That frustration is their prefrontal cortex building new neural pathways. When you stop the struggle, you stop the learning. Third, you solve problems to protect yourself. Let's be honest, you're not just helping your child, you're avoiding the meltdown. You know the pattern: struggle, frustration, tears, 30-minute emotional storm that derails dinner, and your last shred of patience. So you intervene early, you solve fast, you keep peace. But here's what you're actually teaching. Discomfort must be avoided. Big feelings require rescue. Hard things are impossible for you. This is completely normal. Every loving parent does this. But now you're about to learn what most parents never figure out. So what do Japanese parents do differently? Watch this. A child spills juice at the breakfast table. The Japanese parent doesn't move, doesn't reach for paper towels. They look at the child and say quietly, "The juice spilled." Then, nothing. 5 seconds of silence. In those 5 seconds, the child looks at the spill, registers it, processes it, then makes the choice to clean it themselves. This is the Japanese practice of Mimamoru, watching over the child to let them realize the mistake on their own. That moment of realization is called kizuki. And the tool to get there is what I call the 5-second rule. Not about dropped food, about the critical window when responsibility is born. Here's what most Western parents do. Spill happens. Parent reacts. Towel appears. Child barely processes before problem is solved. The child learns, messes happen to me, someone else fixes them. But in the Japanese approach, messes happen and I can address them. In those 5 seconds, your child's brain shifts from passive recipient to active problem solver. From "this is happening to me" to "I can do something about this." From dependence to agency. The 5-second rule is this. When your child creates a mess or faces a struggle, you calmly point it out, then pause for 5 seconds. You give them the space and the silence to notice the problem and choose to act on it themselves. It's not about speed, it's about agency. Now, you're probably thinking, 5 seconds of silence? My child would just sit there and do nothing. And you might be right. The first time, maybe the first 10 times. But here's what matters. Every time you've rescued them before they could act, you've trained them to wait for rescue. You've taught them that if they just wait long enough, someone will fix it. The 5-second rule doesn't just teach them responsibility. It teaches you restraint. And that restraint, that's where the transformation happens. Because in those 5 seconds, something remarkable occurs in your child's brain. This is what's happening in those 5 seconds. When you pause, you activate what neuroscientists call productive struggle, the sweet spot between too easy and too hard, where the brain builds new neural connections. Those 5 seconds let your child's prefrontal cortex activate, assess, and respond. Research consistently shows that children who regularly experience productive struggle develop what's called frustration tolerance, the ability to sit with discomfort without melting down. Developmental studies identify this as one of the strongest predictors of academic success, emotional regulation, and lifelong resilience. But when you rescue too quickly, you tell their nervous system, "You can't handle this." And their nervous system believes you. And those 5 seconds aren't just about your child's brain, they're about yours. When your child struggles, your mirror neurons fire. You feel what they feel. When they're frustrated, you're frustrated. Your instinct is to stop the feeling in both of you by solving the problem. But if you rush in to fix it, your anxiety tells them, this is a crisis. When you pause and regulate yourself, your calm becomes contagious. Your child borrows that calm. They sense you aren't panicked, so they realize the struggle is manageable. Think about watching your child learn to ride a bike. You're holding the seat. If you never let go, they never learn balance. But if you release, if you let them wobble, catch themselves, adjust, that's when the learning happens. The 5-second rule is you releasing the seat. Your child's prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and problem-solving, doesn't fully develop until their mid-20s. But it only develops through use. It's like a muscle. Every time you step in and solve a problem for them, you're doing their brain's push-ups for them. Those 5 seconds activate a part of your child's brain that only develops during self-directed problem-solving. You can't develop that capacity for them. You can only create the space for it to develop. So how do you actually do this? First, observe without reacting, harder than it sounds. Your instinct will scream to move, speak, fix. Instead, breathe. Notice your urge to rescue. Choose not to act. Yet. Second, count silently to 5. This isn't for your child, it's for you. 5 seconds lets your rescue instinct settle. It gives them time to process. Third, model supportive calm. Stay still, but keep your eyes soft. This isn't the silent treatment or a stare down. Your child reads your face to see if they're in trouble or just in a situation. Your warmth signals, you're safe and you can handle this. Fourth, prompt, don't fix. After 5 seconds, if they haven't moved, I see the block spilled. If they stare blankly, ask a smaller question. Where does the block bucket go? You're keeping them in the driver's seat, just giving them a map. Here's what this looks like in practice. A parent implementing this method described what happened last week. Her daughter was pouring rice into a small bowl. She tilted too much. Rice scattered everywhere. The parent's instinct? Grab a towel, sweep it up, problem solved. Instead, she paused. She counted. I see the rice spilled. Then, silence. The daughter looked at the mess. At her mom. Back at the mess. 8 seconds passed. Longer than 5, but who's counting? Then, I need the broom. She got it. She swept. Was it perfect? No. Did her mom resweep secretly after bedtime? You bet. But because the mom didn't fix it in the moment, what the child learned was worth infinitely more than a clean counter. She learned, I can fix my own mistakes. Watch how this transforms the dynamic. Before the 5-second rule, Mom, I spilled. You jump up, grab towels, clean frantically while saying, it's okay. Child watches you fix it. 3 minutes later, Mom, I spilled again. After the 5-second rule, I spilled. You pause. You stay seated. 5 seconds. I see it spilled. What do you need? Child looks around. The towels? Right there. They get them. They wipe. Imperfectly, but independently. Next time they spill, they don't call you. They just grab the towels. That's responsibility forming in real time. If they truly need help after attempting, offer the minimum assistance necessary. Hold the bottom of the jacket while they work the zipper. Hand them the towel while they wipe the spill. You're supporting, not doing. And celebrate effort, not outcome. I noticed you cleaned that up yourself. You kept trying with that zipper. You figured out how to fix that. This reinforces the behavior you want to see more of. Not giving up when things are hard. Your homework tonight. When your child struggles with something small, clothing, a dropped toy, spilled water, wait 5 seconds. Don't announce it. Just pause. Count silently. Observe what happens. And if you're thinking, that won't work with my child, let's talk about why. Now, the objections. Let me address what parents actually tell me. But my child melts down when they're frustrated. I don't want to trigger them. Developmental psychology draws a clear line here. Some frustration is exactly what drives growth, not overwhelming distress, manageable frustration. That's the productive struggle zone. If they're escalating toward true meltdown, past the point where learning can occur, then yes, step in. But with support, not solutions. This is hard. You're frustrated. Breathe. What could you try next? You're teaching them to regulate through challenge, not avoid it. I don't have time for 5-second pauses when we're rushing out the door. Right. So don't practice new skills during morning chaos. Practice during weekend afternoons, playtime, dinner prep. Build the skill when you have time. Then, in time-crunched moments, we leave in 2 minutes. I see you're working on those shoes. What do you need? As they get better, those morning moments actually get faster. They're not waiting for you to solve everything. They won't do it unless I push. They'll just walk away and ignore it. This is learned behavior. They've learned if they ignore it long enough, you'll handle it. So, add a calm boundary. I see the toys on the floor. They need to be picked up before screen time. Not angry, not nagging, just connecting their action to natural consequence. The first few times, they'll test this. And your consistency matters more than anything. Screen time doesn't happen until toys are picked up. No anger, no lectures. Calm follow through. After a few times, they learn, Mom's not rescuing. I might as well do it now. That's responsibility forming. What if my child has ADHD, anxiety, or other challenges? The 5-second rule still applies. It just needs adjustment. For children with ADHD, executive function research suggests that 5 seconds might include pointing to the mess. I see the juice. Where do we keep the towels? You're still giving them agency, just with more scaffolding. For anxious children, co-regulation research shows the value of, you can handle this. I'll stay right here while you try. The principle doesn't change. Pause, prompt, support minimally. The application adjusts to your child's needs. This takes practice, for you and your child. You're unlearning years of automatic rescuing. They're unlearning years of automatic dependence. Give it time. Give it consistency. Give it grace. The transformation doesn't happen in one 5-second pause. It happens in hundreds of them, accumulated over weeks and months, until responsibility becomes your child's default, not their exception. So here's what changes when you pause. When you rescue immediately, you teach dependence. When you pause 5 seconds, you teach capability. The spilled juice, the scattered toys, the stuck zipper, those aren't inconveniences. They're hundreds of tiny moments where responsibility is either learned or lost. But here's the problem most parents hit next. Your child learns to take responsibility for their messes, they clean up spills, they pick up toys, but they still won't put on their shoes without 3 reminders. Still won't brush their teeth without being told. Still need you to manage every single transition. Because responsibility for mistakes is different from self-discipline for daily tasks. And that's what the next video covers. The Japanese principle that teaches children to regulate themselves from the inside out. How kids learn to manage their own behavior without constant reminders, threats, or battles. And it's the missing piece that makes the 5-second rule actually stick. Watch it next.